This evening, my roommate and I, fans of the original show, huge fans, we grew up with the show, watched M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender. Here's why I hate it. The one thing that's going for it is that the casting is decent. It's pretty good. That was early on when they were announcing the cast. I looked at who each person was, and I'm like, yeah, it works. Aang looks like Aang. Katara looks like Katara. Sokka looks like Sokka. Zuko could work, but the acting's just subpar. Just none of it's really awful necessarily. There are a few spots it's pretty bad and painful to watch, but most of the time it's just subpar. Nothing offensively bad like the rest of the film. We'll get to that. But really nothing even close to good. The thing that bugged me least was how untrue it was to the mythology of the show. A huge plot point, like a big character, was a dragon spirit that was in the spirit world that Aang would go visit, talk to, would give advice, whatever. There's no dragon spirit in the show. There's the spirit of a dragon that is owned by a former avatar, but it doesn't talk to him or give him advice, and it's not a major thing at all. It's only a few times in the first season. Speaking of the spirit world, they kind of messed that up. It's not how the spirit world works. It's really weird, and it does not fit like the show, and I don't get why they had to change it. It works fine in the show. It should work fine for the film. A few times, Aang, of course, goes into the avatar state. Now, that's when his eyes glow, his tattoos glow, and it gets unbelievably powerful. I knew why that was happening. I knew about the avatar state. Never explained it. So anyone who didn't watch the show, all of a sudden this kid is glowing like, a rave party and getting super powerful. Why? I don't know. So it did a terrible job of describing a really big part of the character. And the biggest thing was at the very end, Sozin's comet, the biggest plot point in the show. It's this overarching huge event that drives the entire plot. It's totally messed up. I don't get why they changed it. First, it's not at the end of the summer. So, you got 6 months maybe to do, to learn all the elements. No, it's coming in 3 years. Why? It decreases the urgency and drama of the show. Why do you give it such a long time to get here? And secondly, it's giving instead of just giving firebenders insane amount of power like it's supposed to in the show, which made sense, all it does is it lets firebenders create their own fire. Oh, we'll get to this in a minute. And by a minute, I mean right now. The bending is slow, lame, just ruined. I mean, just ruined. They took one of the coolest things ever, martial arts combined with controlling elements, and turned it lame. That's the only way I can describe it. It's lame. It's weak. This master waterbender at the end, the final battle, he's fighting off a bunch of Fire Nation soldiers. It's stuff that Katara can do beginning of season 2. In the show, the same waterbending master is in this tornado of water spinning around, blocking fireballs. It's really epic and cool. But all bending is lame. It's so weak. Fire doesn't do anything. Air just blows people away, even less in the show. At least air can cut stuff in the show. But here it's just, it was awful. All the bending was awful. And because of that, all the battles are lame. It's just not exciting to watch at all. How can you make people shooting fire, throwing rocks, and sloshing water over each other boring? They did it. Congratulations. And I mentioned before with Sozin's Comet, why can't the firebenders firebend? They have to have a source of fire near them and they just draw it out? No, the whole point is it comes from inner rage and emotion. It's feeded by emotion, which means the abilities of a firebender reflects the firebender themselves. That's a good idea. But here it's just, there's a torch, and only at the very end, Iroh does this weird display where he creates his own fire. Except he doesn't use it, he just uses it to scare off people. It's so funny too, because they're oh my goodness, he's creating his own fire. My God, this is what every one of us has been doing the entire show. And this is exemplified perfectly in the fact that in the third act, Aang, the main hero, Zuko, the main villain, have a fist fight! Why? You have magical martial arts. You control elements. Why are you punching, kicking, and grappling with each other? Now we're getting to the major stuff. The plot is rushed, dumbed down, and again, just ruined. They do the beginning of the season, like, Aang being discovered by Katara and Sokka, and, they go to, like, the air temple, he sees all his kinds wiped out, and then they do the end where they're at the North Pole and the Fire Nation lay siege, but in the middle, it's just montage. All they do is, after Aang discovers that the Fire Nation wiped out his place, they're walking around for some reason, traveling for whatever reason, and this person runs up, is like, I'm going to be arrested because I'm earthbending, and so they go to the town, they free the town, and they decide, hey, let's do this to all the other towns. So there's just a montage of them lamely fighting off the Fire Nation from these towns. Is that all season 1 was? I can't remember. I remember a lot of complex subplots and character development, but no, I think a montage serves the story better. Stemming from this is the fact that there are no minor characters from the show in the film. Where's Haru? Where's the machine guy who builds the gliders and stuff? Where's Jet? He's a huge part of the second season. How are they supposed to do that without him? And where's Roku? He was a huge part in guiding Aang, his past life. He gave him wisdom, knowledge. He explained stuff to him, like the Avatar state. Maybe you should have included the character that described the Avatar state. So, I don't know, you could describe the Avatar state! And that, my dear viewer, is not even the worst part. The worst part is the characters. They are cutouts. They are boring. They are bland. They don't fit at all. Aang, yeah, the kid that likes to have fun and stuff, so it's kind of hard for him to accept responsibility. No, he's dark and brooding because of his past. Okay. Sokka, who's always, wisecracking jokes, is there for comedic relief, he's a likable guy. He's dead serious all the time, and looking out for his sister. Okay. And Katara, who's, always motherly and stuff, she does nothing. And of course, the names aren't right. It's not Aang. It's not Sokka? How do they even say it? Sokka, right? Sokka. It's not Sokka. Sokka. And it's Iroh, not Iroh. They butcher all the names. They don't even say Avatar right. They say Avatar. You're not Arnold Schwarzenegger praising James Cameron. Avatar. It's Avatar. There is no dialogue between the three main characters. Literally, like 3 lines are exchanged between all 3 of them. That is a core of the show. The interaction between these 3 very diverse and distinct characters. Because of this, I don't care about the characters at all. In the show, I was nearly in tears at the final episode of how things were wrapping up. I was at the edge of my seat when things were going bad, and I was incredibly happy when things were going good. Here, I couldn't care less. How is a plot supposed to speak to the audience? How is a story going to have any weight when the characters are just so forgettable? There's no soul, no effort, no humor at all. The characters especially makes it so this film, it's nothing resembling the actual show. And even if you haven't seen the show, I highly recommend you do, but even if you haven't seen the show, it's terrible because, again, the characters, they're nothing. They're so forgettable. Like I said, there's nothing impressive about them. Nothing unique. Nothing that makes them stand out from one another except, I'm a good guy. I'm a bad guy. I'm a guy. I'm a girl. Great. But how does that help us connect to the plot? Especially with such a good plot, which, oh, right, you already ruined. In conclusion, this is shit. It is a horrendous film, which is a miraculous feat given the absolutely phenomenal source material. Well done, M. Night Shyamalan. You raped my childhood in front of my eyes, smiling and laughing while doing it, and for what? Box office sodomy and a ruined career. The worst part about this film is that it guarantees that there will never be a potentially amazing live-action Last Airbender film. Because of this movie, no one is going to try to make it into a film again, which is a shame. I was so excited when I heard they were making this film because it's such an amazing story. I wanted to see it live action. I wanted to see more people enjoy the storytelling that I have been enjoying for 3 years. Never see The Last Airbender. Don't see it to laugh at because it's so bad, because it's one of those films, it's so bad you can't even laugh at it. Don't see it to mock because The pain you go through is not worth it. It is honestly one of the worst films I have ever seen. Fuck you, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.